Hello brothers and sisters, welcome to another episode here on Dangerous African Confessions HD. In this episode, we have a confession from our sister, who shares with us her painful life story. Listening to her, shed tears because of someone's insatiable lust and misconduct has led her. She tells us about the kind of things she has been through and what is really happening with her right now in her life. But before we go into what we have for this episode, I would love to take this opportunity to ask you to please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and please do share our videos so that others can benefit from hearing some of these stories in order for them to also learn from some of these confessions. Thank you, and let's get into what we have for this episode.
Please brother, I would love that you treat this message as an anonymous. Since what I am about to tell you, if somebody closer get the chance to listen to this video on your channel, he or she can know it is my story. There are things not everyone around me knows about this story about myself that I am going to share with you. One will ask, why then am I sharing with you? You know I have battled depression. I have come to the point of killing myself. I can say that I have been at the last end of the line between life and death. But now, I have accepted my fate and I have come to the conclusion that this all might be a part of the assignment I was given by my Creator when I was coming here on this earth. Even though it is painful for a human being to go through such situation and be taken advantage of against his or her own will. And at the end get to a point where the aftermath is not something that you can just change like that. As I am talking with you now, I was a gospel singer in my auntie's husband church. But currently, I am an HIV patient. So, as a young girl growing up, in our village we were into farming. My parents are farmers and even now, they are still into this farming business. That is what has been the bedrock of my family. My parents use the proceeds they get from selling their crops when they harvest them to cater for our education. We didn't have much, but we were a happy family. My parents gave birth to 3 children and I happened to be the firstborn of the 3. When I finished junior high school, my father's elder sister who loved me so much decided that she will not let me continue my senior secondary school in our area. So, she came and have a chat with my family who also agreed to allow me go and live with her in the city. That was how I left my village into the city. My auntie has been so good to me to the point that, if you don't know that, she is my father's sister, you might take her to be my mother. The bond that she created between us was pure love from deep within her heart. Her husband is a pastor who pastors his own church in the capital city. His church sits about, if I am not mistaken, 800 to 1,000 members. The reason is that he has 2 services every Sunday. The morning service and the afternoon service. I lived with them peacefully and I completed secondary school. I did complete together with my auntie's daughter. They have 2 children. The oldest among them is into phone business. He has his own shop in the central district of the city. And by God's grace, he is really doing well. We all live in that big house that their father has. Our big brother's apartment is separated from the main building. That one has 2 bedrooms in it. And the girls, we are with the parents inside the main building. But everyone has her own room. I wasn't treated like I was living with them, but as part of their children. Their daughter, when we entered into the university in our 2nd year, she decided to go and stay on campus but always came home every weekends. I was supposed to go stay with her in the same hostel, but my auntie asked me to remain home so I can help her with things. She herself didn't want her daughter to go, but she insisted she will, so they allowed her when I agreed to stay back home and help her in the house. This phase of my stay with the family started the change in my life. One day, I was in the kitchen preparing food for the family. My auntie had gone to women's fellowship and had not returned. As I was in the kitchen singing whilst I was working, I was lost in my singing when I felt someone tickles me on my waist. I turned and it was my auntie's husband. I was shocked to see him do that. He acted like he has done nothing wrong and asked me to bring him water in his room. Honestly, I didn't know much about sex things. because as at that time, I was still a virgin. The way my mother brought us up, she made us to feel that sex was something that when you are not married and you do it, it takes away something huge from your life. So, growing up, I had this fear in me about sex. I never wanted to be involved in things that will lead me into such things. Hence all my friends were female. I never had a single male friend. To me, I was keeping myself away from this thing that would be taken away from my life when I indulged myself in sex before marriage. Little did I know that I can really protect myself from guys my age. But I never knew that my own auntie's husband would deflower me in a way that I never agreed to. When I went to his room with the water, he was completely naked when he asked me to enter. As soon as I saw him, I covered my face with my left hand and dropped the water on his bed and rushed out of the room. I was shocked and I went into my room and went straight on my knees asking God to forgive me for seeing the nakedness of his servant. To me, I mistakenly saw him. I never knew he had it all planned out. He came out and called me to the living room. He said that we had a lot to talk about. I asked him what the problem was shakingly. He said, I will have some answers to give for what I saw in his room. I told him I didn't see anything and I was sorry for coming into his room like that. He told me that he was going to tell my auntie about the fact that I didn't knock and went into his room and saw him naked. I didn't want any of those things to happen. So, I went on my knees and begged him for forgiveness. On my knees, he came close to me and started touching my boobs. I had wanted to get up and run, but he asked me to remain or else he would do just as he has promised. I didn't have a choice then. I knelt and he started touching my boobs. Whilst doing that, he asked me if I have a boyfriend. This was weird to me, because here is my auntie's husband and he is behaving this way. And aside from being my auntie's husband, he is a man of God, who should know that the things he is doing is not right for a man of God to do. I don't know where I gathered the courage. I got up and ran out of the place and locked myself up in my room. Later I heard my auntie calling my name. I went out and helped her with the things she had brought. That evening when I had gone to give senior brother his food, I wanted to tell him what happened. But I feared what he might say. So I decided to ask him some questions. I asked him if he believed in all men of God. He said that, to him once someone puts on the title as a man of God, he respects the person and believes that person should know what is right and so, he believes them. I went further with the question. I asked him, that will he believe if for instance someone comes out to say that, his father who is also a pastor is making advances on her or has even slept with her? His answer shocked me. He said that, even if he will never believe anything, the moment it involves his father, he will believe it. He looked at me and smiled. He asked me, has he been making those moves at you? I asked him, so you know. He said that, why do you think I decided to move out of the main house to be here? I just didn't want to see that fake love he shows my mother. I told him everything that his father has been doing to me. He went into his room and brought out a recorder and asked me to record my voice on it for future reference if there comes the need for such. After I did that, he asked if I truly love his mother. I told him with all my heart, I love her so much. He then told me that, if I love his mother that much, then I can't tell her. I asked why, and he told me that, the very day she hears such news, she might not live the next minute. Because she has a heart problem. He continued that, there are a lot of secrets that he has about his father but cannot tell the mother. Because he fears the worst will happen when he tells her. He said that, he had wanted to tell me to go back home when I finished school. But he felt the chemistry and the kind of bond between myself and his mother was so strong. That is why he didn't tell me to do that. He knew a day will come that his father will start that behavior. Because for him I was a very beautiful lady, and had it not been the fact that we come from the same family, he himself would have approached me for a relationship. He told me to try and avoid him and always come to his place if my auntie is not around and I feel I was not secured. That sounded good to me. I thanked him and I left to be in my room.
The continuation episode will be posted this evening at 10 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Please kindly take note and make a time with us. Please kindly subscribe, share and like our videos. Kindly hit the notification bell so you will be the first to get notification to our videos when we upload. Like I always say, these are not just stories for story's sake. They are meant for us not to make these mistakes our brothers and sisters are making. That's why we share these stories with you. I hope we've all learned something important from the story. In this story by our sister, I have also learned that not everyone parading himself to be holy out there is truly holy. Sometimes, the very people we look down upon are the very ones when God comes, he might be taken with him. To me, a lot of these pastors are using the Holy Scriptures as a will for themselves and enriching themselves without really holding on to the values in it. Again, in every house there are demons. What I mean by demons is that, in every house there are things that are hidden from the general public which is bad. So, learn how to deal with your own issue and stop always running to pastors as if they are saints. Whatever you sow today, you shall always reap tomorrow. Let's be mindful of the choices that we make. Because it can either make or unmake us in a long run. Thank you and kindly share your thought with us in the comment section below. And if you are new here, please subscribe, like and share. Thank you for listening to this episode. Watch out for the continuation of this story in our next episode. You can also watch other interesting and intriguing confessions we have on the channel.